Hey guys, and welcome back to another video, and today we have the dreaded review of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. And before we get into this video, I want to let you know this video will contain spoilers. With that said, let's get into it. Obviously, my last video was about how the Disney Star Wars trilogy was my least favourite Star Wars trilogy, or the sequel trilogy, whatever you wanted to call it. And I wanted to give my opinions on this film, first of all, because I've seen a lot of people's opinions on the overall trilogy, and this is one of the biggest reasons that this trilogy doesn't work for me. But let's start with the positives. I think it's maybe the best looking Star Wars, if not it's one of them. All of the effects and everything like that look great. The action and acting is good. I loved what they did with Kylo, and the scene where he sees Han again, like in his head. That is my favourite scene in the film, without a doubt. And we understand why Kylo decides to join Rey at the end and turn against Palpatine, and we understand every decision he makes. He is without doubt the best character in this whole trilogy, and of course acted brilliantly. Also, seeing all the ships at the end with Poe and Lando, it was like an Avengers Endgame moment for me. It did make my hairs stand up, and it was a great moment. And again, a big part of that was the effects and the music. The music in all of these films is great. But with that said, it feels like Disney used the kind of end of Endgame and just put it in here. But, it was fine. I like it. I really liked Ghost Luke too. I felt he was actually important, and I felt his development from The Last Jedi actually happened and had an impact. And I think the way they handled Leia was nice, and of course, rest in peace, Carrie Fisher. But sadly, with that said, that is where my positives end. This film feels so rushed. We just go from point A to B to C to D so quickly, and we put straight into the action with Kylo, and yeah, it does look cool. It looked phenomenal, but I'm not invested in it at all. I don't care about trying to find the Wayfinder, and if we are told why he's looking for it, I've already forgotten. That's how much of an impact it left me. We have some of the most wasted material in this film as well. The Knights of Ren, extremely underused, and they don't really do anything. Finn is again wasted. Poe is fine, I guess, but the stuff about his backstory feels kind of forced in this film, kind of out of left field. And then Rey, who, to a lot of your disagreement, I will assume, from her really great character in The Last Jedi, where she's told she can make her own destiny, doesn't have to live up to anything. She's in this film forced to being related to Palpatine. There's a ton of comedy too, and while some of it lands, a lot of it doesn't, and I hate that a lot. That is something about the sequel trilogy that I think some of the comedy does land, but some of it again doesn't. And I understand they don't want to have a really serious film, and that's perfectly fine. With the previous two films, they managed it pretty well. But this is meant to be the end of one of the most famous and amazing franchises, the Skywalker saga. And one of the most famous villains of all time is back, being the Emperor, of course. And we're just going to the force Marvel-like jokes in here, and it just doesn't work for me. I only have to talk about my most hated scene in this film, and maybe even my most hated scene in the franchise. Yes, and that is below Anakin talking about sand, which
I don't like sand.
Yeah. So obviously this scene is where Rey defeats Palpatine, which, by the way, the fact Palpatine has been pulling the strings is just brushed to the side here. We just are made to accept it, even though, I can't, me personally, I can't have something like that just pushed into me, but it is what it is, I guess. Really poorly done, in my opinion. But they make Rey the chosen one here, by making her the one to finish off the Emperor, to defeat him, and that means that Anakin didn't do it. If they kept it with the First Order and Snoke, it could be a different, prophecy. But no, they brought an OG back and ruined the whole legacy of Anakin Skywalker. At least that's how I feel about it. Some of you may like it, and more power to you, but it feels like a big screw you to the prequels and the originals that had Anakin as the chosen one. And overall, I don't like the franchise as much as fans. I'm not as invested in it as a lot of diehards, but I love the originals and I don't even hate the prequels. But at least the prequels keep the lore of Anakin being the chosen one, even if they are pretty boring.
It's coarse rough and irritating.
That is one of the biggest themes throughout all of these films, that he is the chosen one. But this film just doesn't care. It doesn't care about its insane old legacy. Unfortunately, in my opinion, this is a terrible end for the Skywalker saga. Again, this is all just my opinion as always, and I give The Rise of Skywalker a 3.5 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this may be a fairly unpopular score and may diverse a few people, but it's just my opinion. I know not everyone loved it, but I think a lot of people loved it more than liked it more than I did, I should say. But let me know what you thought of The Rise of Skywalker. Did you like it or not? Either way, tell me why, as long as you're all respectful about it. Take care everyone, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good night, guys.